President Trump's trade war has now escalated.
I want to speak first directly to the American people. We don't want this. We want to work with you as a friend and ally. And we don't want to see you hurt either. But your government has chosen to do this to you. Canadians are reasonable and we are polite. But we will not back down from a fight.
That was the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau this morning talking about the retaliatory tariffs that Canada launched today in response to the 25% tariff that President Trump imposed on Canadian goods at midnight. Our neighbors to the north are going to be slapping a total of $150 billion of tariffs on targeted U.S. imports into their country in the month of March, starting with tariffs immediately on $30 billion of U.S. imports.
Your government has chosen to put American jobs at risk, at the thousands of workplaces that succeed because of materials from Canada or because of consumers in Canada, or both. They've chosen to raise costs for American consumers on everyday essential items like groceries and gas, on major purchases like cars and homes, and everything in between. They've chosen to harm American national security, impeding access to the abundant critical minerals, energy, building materials, and fertilizers that we have and that the United States needs to grow and prosper.
I mean, he's not wrong. As I've reported repeatedly, Canada, Mexico, and China are the top trading partners of the United States. We get a lot of fruits and vegetables from Mexico. We get a lot of our imported crude oil from Canada. The automobile industry relies on parts and components that travel back and forth between our northern and southern borders. We rely on electronics produced in Mexico, and don't even get me started on the imports we get from China. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum said today that Mexico will absolutely be retaliating with tariffs against the United States. Those will be announced on Sunday. And China announced today that they too are retaliating. Starting next week, China will impose targeted tariffs aimed directly at U.S. farmers. They will impose 15% tariffs on chicken, wheat, corn, and cotton, and 10% tariffs on soybeans, meat, fish, produce, and dairy. Plus, China added more than 24 American tech companies to a corporate blacklist and opened investigations into their operations. And Canada's Prime Minister says Canada isn't done yet.
And should these tariffs not cease, we are in active and ongoing discussions with provinces and territories to pursue several non-tariff measures. Measures which will demonstrate that there are no winners in a trade war.
Those non-tariff measures could include shutting off the power to places like Michigan, Minnesota, and New York. Ontario, Canada powers more than 1.5 million American homes. And not only did you just hear the Prime Minister hint that that was the plan, the Premier of Ontario openly said he has no problem shutting off the power to the United States directly because of these Trump tariffs. Now, I've discussed how tariffs work repeatedly on this channel. Generally, in the end, you are the one who pays for the tariff, not Canada, not Mexico, not China. And I'm not going to go through all the facts and the data again. But if you have questions, I highly encourage you to go watch these videos because I have done multiple deep dives on this topic. But back to today's action by Canada. Prime Minister Trudeau said President Trump imposed the tariffs on Canada allegedly because of illegal immigration and fentanyl coming across the border, a claim that Trudeau says is bullshit.
Now, the legal pretext your government is using to bring in these tariffs is that Canada is apparently unwilling to help in the fight against illegal fentanyl. Well, that is totally false. Let's look at the facts. Our border is already safe and secure. Far less than 1% of fentanyl flows and less than 1% of illegal crossings into the United States comes from Canada. But we acted because we know we can always do better. We engaged closely and constructively with the President and his administration. We did everything we promised. We stuck to our word.
Trudeau says what President Trump is doing with these tariffs is in direct violation of the USMCA, which is the North American trade deal that Trump himself negotiated with Canada and Mexico during his first term. Trudeau used his time to speak directly to President Trump.
Now, it's not in my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal, but Donald, they point out that even though you're a very smart guy, this is a very dumb thing to do.